Being a dad is hard work, and it is even harder work when you struggle with severe mental health issues. That's why the smallest things that might not seem that big a deal to other people are huge achievements for people like me. And that is exactly what happened one weekend that I was out with my twin boys. So with every story, let me set the scene for you. It's Sunday morning, and my wife is recovering from having a little bit too much adult juice on the previous night, or at least that's how we phrased it to our kids. Since I've stayed over from Saturday night into the Sunday morning, I am fully prepared for daddy daycare day. This means that I am going to have a lot of fun indoor activities with the boys so that my wife can recover from her drinking exploits. Now, for those of you that don't know me and are not aware of the things that I struggle with on a day-to-day basis, here's a little thing about me. I hate going outside with my kids. I love them to death. I really, really do. I love my family so much. And it's not them that in particular is the problem. It is my own mental health that is the problem. As I said, my mental health issues are so severe that I struggle with the simplest of tasks. And one of those tasks is something that I can't necessarily avoid, and that is going outside. As such, I need to implement a lot of coping strategies to just get through those basic things like going to the shops. It requires a lot of routine, a lot of planning, a lot of control to pacify my pretty up mind. And that's just me trying to survive any given day. Going outside into public spaces with lots of people around, with two hyperactive, unpredictable kids, even though I love them, can be a real disaster for me. Now, I can do certain things with the kids. I can take them to doctor's appointments, optician appointments, but in my head, these are seen as a completely different situation because these specific appointments already have a set of guidelines for you to follow. You have a date for an appointment, you have a time for an appointment, you have a location to an appointment, and from there, you can plan and structure that entire trip. Because depending on where it is, you'll know how long it will take you to get to said place. You'll know how long it will take to get the kids ready to take them to said place. If it's a hospital appointment, you anticipate 10 or 20 minute delays because let's face it, it's the NHS. Not a dig, they're just completely screwed. So you can plan for uncertainties or variables that are maybe not necessarily within the parameters of that appointment. But just randomly going out, spur of the moment, even just taking the kids out for an hour, that is terrifying for me to do. And something that is even worse for me is going out for a meal with them. I think it's safe to say that, especially in the last few years, a lot of people are not very forgiving when it comes to kids acting up in public spaces like restaurants. There are some restaurants that even give you fines if you cannot control your kids, which I think is ridiculous, but that's another story for another day. And I have real issues about eating around people in public. I have been overweight, I have been anorexic, and those have also caused mental scars that you can do so much healing from, but they never truly go away. So going to an enclosed space with lots of people, with my kids, who are a little bit hyperactive, but are also very, very fussy eaters, and get bored very quickly, it can really play in my mental health. I get very embarrassed easily. I get really paranoid. I get really scared. And when I don't have those specific triggers or mechanisms in place to help me with that, especially if it's a spur of the moment thing, I can get upset. I can get angry. And the last thing I want to do is do that around my kids. So the easiest way for me not to do it is by not going. So if we do want to get something like a takeaway, I am more than happy to go and pick it up and bring it home because I'm going back to my safe space where the kids can be who they want to be and I don't really need to worry about it. This may seem like a tangent, but keep all this in mind because I'm about to tell you the next part of the story and why this specific event is a huge achievement for me. So back to that fateful Sunday morning, and I am in the shower getting ready, trying to think of activities that I can do with the kids in the house. And of course, they start fighting because I am not around. I can't exactly go down the stairs ball naked and tell them to wrap it. So my wife gets out of her hungover bed, comes down, checks on the kids, tells them to be a bit quiet, and goes back up to her bed. And that one thing sends my brain into a complete meltdown. The kid's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. They're brothers. They're identical twins with 1 minute of difference. They're gonna fight. But my brain started thinking, even if we are all downstairs and making any type of noise, Alison will not be able to help herself from going down, checking her everything's all right, then going back up to her bed. So she won't get a chance to properly rest and recover from her night out. So I'm panicking, thinking I am going to absolutely ruin this daycare day before it's even begun. And then something happened. Something that is unusual for my brain to do. I had an idea. I'm going to get the kids ready. I'm going to load them into the car with a football. We're going to go to a park. We're going to have a kickabout and give Alison peace and quiet for about an hour. And what's even more surprising is that I acted on it. the smile on their face, something that I could never buy. The shock on my wife's face when I told her that, definitely something I will never be able to buy. So we went to the park and we were having a kickabout. Everything was going so well. Then the rain came on and it started coming down quite heavy. And the last thing I want is to give my kids a cold because I'd only just recovered from the cold and I did not want to pass it on to them. So I load them back up into the car and we've only been out for 40 minutes. And my brain again starts freaking out. I made that promise to myself that I was going to be out for at least an hour. I did not want to cut it short, which is when the next surprising thing popped into my brain. I decided to take my kids to McDonald's for something to eat. So that's what we did. And I did not freak out. And that was unreal. We laughed, we had fun, I got them cleaned up, we went back to the car, including the time that it took us to get back to the house. I was out for an hour and a half, 30 minutes longer than I initially planned. And Alison got that time to rest. The boys were happy, and they also got some wee workbooks back with them, which meant they had things that they could play with and work on for the rest of the day. A lot of people will watch this video and think, you took your kids out for an hour and a half. You're their dad. You should be able to do that. But when you're a dad with mental health issues, it's not as easy as it looks. A lot of people struggle with one kid, let alone twins. And that's people that don't have any mental health issues. Because I want to be the best dad I can be to my kids. And if I fail, even by 0.1%, I beat myself up for days about it. So doing something like that, going out for an hour and a half, out to the park, a place that I thought I would never take my kids on my own, and then going out for something to eat, which is something I definitely did not think I could do on my own. My wife even struggles doing that, was a huge achievement for me. There was no fighting, there was no issues. We all had a great time. Am I going to stumble? Of course I'm going to stumble. I am human, I make mistakes, and I am also, spoiler alert, a massive up. But I will always do my best to give my kids the type of love and the type of care that they deserve. If you enjoyed the content of this video, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would really help us out. And I'll just keep talking about all these little daft things that I do in my own life and with my family that make me feel better. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.